Have you ever seen something so painfully apparent come crashing down in front of your very eyes? Yet the individuals involved act as though nothing is occurring. That's basically what it was like to watch the final seasons of Sister Wives. What began as a family rooted in harmony, commonality and love for one another began to fall apart bit by bit. And some way, somehow, amidst all of this, one woman remained, Robyn Brown. When Robyn originally joined the Brown family, she entered as the voice of peace. She spoke the right words. She assured Meri that she couldn't do this without her. She asserted that she admired the family's infrastructure and was all about the sisterhood. It was real for a moment. She appeared to be sincere, dedicated, and willing to be part of something greater than herself. But eventually something started to change. The change didn't occur overnight. It was gradual, so imperceptible you may not have noticed at the beginning. But with the passing of the seasons, the changes became too difficult to ignore. The original wives still left one by one. Christine first, another Janelle, even Meri later on, another left. And Kody? Only his last wife remained with him, beside the fact that Robyn did leave eventually. The cracks in the family did not start when these marriages broke up. They started way before, that is, when some behaviors were allowed to go unchecked. When the conversations ceased to take place in the open, when one was made an exception to rules to which everyone else was subject. It was favoritism, pure and simple, and it very gradually poisoned the whole basis of the family. Robyn wasn't just another wife entering the household. She was introduced almost like the final piece of a puzzle, someone who would complete the picture. She said she didn't want monogamy. She insisted she believed in plural marriage, and that this kind of relationship only worked if the women worked together. She repeated that she was there for the family, not just for Kody. But after a while, her words and actions didn't align. Early on, Robyn clung to Meri tight. She repeated and repeated, "I can't do this without you." And Meri believed her. We all did. Robyn acted the role of the grateful, humble new wife, attempting to fit into a pre-existing family. But something else was going on underneath. Something that no one was willing to see until it was too late. Robyn was accepted with open arms. She wasn't aggressive. She didn't arrive making requests, at least not verbally, but something started changing not long after she formally married Kody. That's when the mood changed. That's when Kody's attention, emotionally, mentally, physically, began to shift completely to her. He started appearing for Robyn in ways the other wives had never known. And rather than balancing or reassuring the rest of his family, he just leaned more into Robyn. It wasn't a dramatic shift. The pivot was subtle, nearly spoken, but unmistakable to those listening. Janelle picked up on it first. She noticed how Robyn's needs began to take precedence in all things. Christine sensed it in the manner in which Kody no longer made time for her children. Even Meri, who had previously stood as Robyn's biggest fan, was starting to notice the change. Robyn was no longer simply another wife. She was becoming the central figure. And the rest? They were being forced over to the sidelines, emotionally deprived and told to deem it fair. That wasn't what polygamy was meant to be. But for Kody and Robyn, that's what it turned into. The longer the show went on, the more pronounced Kody's favoritism became. It was hard and painful to watch. He wasn't even trying to be secretive about it anymore. The way he guarded Robyn, stood up for her, treated her as something delicate and valuable, and the rest of his wives felt like a burden, was unmistakable. There was a time when Kody came right out and said his connection with Robyn was stronger with any of the others. He said she was the one doing it right. That single sentence stung like a slap to the women who had spent decades, years by his side. They had raised his children, managed the household, and kept the family together through every struggle. And now here was Kody, downplaying it all in one breath. Making it even more difficult to swallow was Robyn's denial that anything was happening. With a straight face, she insisted that she didn't know why others believed Kody played favorites with her. She insisted that she didn't feel special, that she was treated like everyone else. But viewers were able to see what really went on. Kody was always protecting her, as if anticipating a complaint before she even made one. If Christine complained, it was Christine's fault. If Janelle felt left out, it was because she wasn't loyal enough. And Meri? She was left in a shell of a marriage, just a friend, while Kody and Robyn lived out their ideal love story right in front of everybody. Janelle said it straight out. Kody had changed. Once Robyn entered the scene, something changed inside Kody, and not for the better. Janelle said he became meaner, more reactive. Christine conceded that she no longer felt comfortable speaking her feelings because anything that even reached close to Robyn would trigger Kody. It was like Robyn didn't have to call out anyone directly. She could mention something offhand, and pretty soon Kody would erupt, yelling, accusing, and emotionally shutting down the wives he once referred to as partners. And in the middle of all this, Robyn continued playing the same character, the innocent. "I don't know why they talk about me so much," she would say, as if she had nothing to do with the tension, but everyone else could see. We could see. Kody wasn't simply in love with Robyn. He was protecting her from everything, from repercussions, from criticism, even from herself. And he was doing it at the cost of the family he used to say he had built in the name of God. Things escalated darker when the other wives started seeing a concerning pattern. What they discussed with Robyn would somehow morph by the time it reached Kody. Words were warping, meanings being altered, and the result was always the same, an eruption. Bubbles boiled over, and it was always someone else who was blamed. One of the most candid moments was when Janelle had her composed but blunt confrontation with Kody. She asked why he knew about a private conversation she and Robyn had, because the only way he could have is if Robyn informed him. But rather than respond, Kody shut down. He became defensive, angry, almost aggressive. He didn't deny it or explain anything. He just stonewalled. And at that moment, it became blindingly clear. He wasn't just protecting Robyn's feelings. He was compensating for the fact that she had been tacitly feeding him her version of things. What Janelle was doing in that moment was more than having a question. She was calling it out. She was attempting to hold Robyn accountable, and Kody couldn't take it. Rather than addressing the problem like a husband or a leader, he turned on Janelle. He yelled, dismissed what she was saying, and treated her like the problem. Not the secrecy, not the manipulation, not the favoritism. And Janelle wasn't the only one. Christine had seen the same dynamic play out for years. Robyn had a habit of taking even the tiniest perceived slight, real or not, and making it into a personal beef. Such as when Christine attempted to explain a goofy personality test, and Robyn was offended. What could have been an innocuous moment devolved into drama, and predictably, Robyn brought it to Kody. And Kody, in classic fashion, lashed at Christine. That was the cycle. Robyn felt a slight. She went running to Kody, and Kody blew his top. Kody tended to jump before listening to the whole tale, and most often it was the other wives who took the brunt. Robyn didn't have to fight her own wars. Kody became her shield, her sword, and her enforcer. She professed to keep out of their disagreements, but in fact, her contribution was deeply entrenched in almost every subject that came up. Her power was silent, discreet, but undeniable. Although she projected a tranquil image to the camera, asserting she desired peace, behind the closed doors she was far from passive. Robyn became the lens through which Kody viewed the entire household, and the results were catastrophic. The other wives were left misunderstood, dismissed, and increasingly isolated, while Robyn got to be the decoy of innocence. One of the moments that showed just how broken things were was Gwendolyn's engagement party. What was meant to be a happy celebration of Christine's daughter and her girlfriend Beatrice was instead something heavy, awkward, and in frank honesty, heartbreaking. Rather than being a sense of family, the party felt like a power play, strategic and calculated. The party was not supposed to be filmed. That's what the family had been assured. Christine and Gwendolyn had envisioned a quiet, intimate moment to get at the essence of love and the future. But on the party day itself, Kody and Robyn arrived, along with a complete camera crew. And that was only the beginning. Gwendolyn was greeted at the door by a producer who handed her a non-disclosure agreement and urged her to sign it immediately, before she could enter her own party. She went on to explain how surprised and distressed she was, taken aback by the surprise filming. Consider feeling like your engagement party is a private, family occasion, only to find out it's going to be aired without your consent or knowledge. Let's be real, Kody didn't appear just to be there for his daughter. He knew David, Christine's fiancé, would be present. He wanted to record the moment on television. Kody meeting David for the first time. It had nothing to do with Gwendolyn. It had everything to do with control, with the story, with optics for the show. Christine knew immediately. Her disappointment was painted across her face. What was supposed to be a special day for her daughter was hijacked. Rather than the attention being on the love of Gwendolyn and her new chapter, it became about Kody again. And when Robyn was questioned on why exactly Christine would have been hurt by the whole ordeal, she brushed it off with a dismissive, disconnected comment, yet another sign of how out of touch she had become with the hurt her presence and her influence was bringing. Awkwardness is just part of divorce. That was Robyn's response. That's what she said when asked about the surprise filming at Gwendolyn's engagement party. But let's be honest, this wasn't about divorce or awkward family dynamics. It wasn't awkward, it was calculated, and the person who ended up paying for it wasn't Robyn, it was Gwendolyn. Her moment, her celebration, was hijacked and turned into another scene for someone else's storyline. Jump forward to the present and the Brown family is hardly recognizable from the Brown family we knew back in the early seasons. Christine walked away first in 2021, Janelle in 2022, and Meri, Robyn's largest advocate, went quietly by 2023. Individual by individual, the original sister wives walked away, not because they lost faith in polygamy, but because they no longer could endure the poison that entered when Robyn was included. And then there's only Kody and Robyn. But even that isn't the romance everyone imagined it would be. What they share today isn't the harmonious, collaborative plural marriage they once taught. It's something much more disturbing. Christine and Janelle have both shared raw, unflinching stories about what living in those last few years was like. Emotional deprivation, being pushed aside, being made to feel lesser while one wife got all the love and concern. They've spoken about how Robyn was treated like royalty, the favourite, the queen bee. And Kody? He wasn't just her husband, he was her protector, her mouthpiece, her willing accomplice. Their interviews and musings validate what fans have always suspected, but perhaps didn't want to believe. That the family fell apart not due to polygamy failing, but due to the balance being destroyed and nobody wanting to restore it. Now, Robyn and Kody are in what appears to be a closed loop of codependency. Robyn still projects herself as the victim, rewriting stories to position herself in an innocent light. Kody, meanwhile, defends her with unflinching zeal, even if it means abandoning the women who had been with him for decades. Their relationship is now a cycle of control, disguised as devotion, and it's difficult to watch. But this is not a one-family story, it's a deeper warning. A cautionary tale about what happens when favoritism runs unchecked, when one voice is raised above others, and others are silenced. When truth becomes something pliable, bent to keep a narrative safe, rather than upholding actual emotion. And perhaps most of all, it's a tale about the cost of silence, how holding one's peace out of fear or allegiance or optimism can permit dysfunction to take root, how it can cleave even the most solid foundations, even those established on shared religion and promises of equality. So what do you think? Has Robyn been misjudged all along? Or is this really what we've been seeing all along? Share your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to subscribe to Sister Wives Underground for more real talk and deep dives into the family behind the headlines, because this story, it's far from over.